Good day, viewers. Welcome back to Straight Talk with Obert Gutu on YouTube. Today we continue with the topic of land reform, but our main sub-focus today is going to be the issue of land tenure, or what type of land ownership system is obtaining in Zimbabwe currently, and what would you say or think is the ideal kind of land tenure system to be adopted in Zimbabwe. Let me just give you maybe a brief historical background of the land tenure system in Zimbabwe. At the moment, we actually have a multifaceted kind of land tenure system in Zimbabwe. When we talk of rural land, by rural land, I'm talking of all the land that used to be called tribal trust lands in the colonial era, and that was later changed to be called communal lands. Zimbabwe has got about 55 rural district councils throughout the 10 provinces of the country. And the 10 provinces of the country are the two urban metropolitan councils, which is Harare Metropolitan and Bulawayo Metropolitan. And the remaining 8 are basically all rural provinces. There's Mashonaland East, Mashonaland West, Mashonaland Central, there's Masvingo, there's Midlands, there's Matabeleland North, Matabeleland South, and Manicaland is already indicated. So we are talking here of a country that is divided into 10 provinces. And of those 10 provinces are further divided into 55 districts. And below the districts are what we call, or what we have named as wards. And in the various wards, below the various wards are, like in the typical rural areas, are what are called villages. So all this land in the rural areas is owned by the state. And the 55 rural district councils just administer the land on behalf of the state. So in the rural areas, no one has got title deeds to rural land. You are actually allocated a piece of land either to build your homestead or to do your agricultural activities by the village head. And no title deed is given. There's no document where you get a title deed to say this is now your land. In other words, you can't dispose of it, you can sell it, and in a commercial transaction. So the former commercial farming areas that used to be owned by the former white commercial farmers are those pieces of land where people had title deeds. So the majority of those former commercial farms that were owned by the former white commercial farmers, invariably all of them, I think a good over 90% of them had title deeds. A few maybe had long-term leases, like 99-year leases and issues like that. But the majority of them actually had title deeds. They could actually sell their farms, they could sublate, they could subdivide, as long as they obtained the necessary regulatory approvals, statutory regulatory approvals. So right now we have a situation where we've got a mixed kind of land tenure system. And with now the advent of about 600,000 new settlers on the A1 or the small scale land resettlement scheme, all of these people were just given what are called offer letters by the government. They do not have title deeds, they have offer letters. And the same applies also to the A2 resettlement scheme, what is called the large scale commercial farm resettlement scheme. The majority of them have got offer letters. And the past 2, 3, 4 years, some of them, especially on the A2 resettlement scheme, have been given what are called 99-year leases. These are long-term leases. I think just a few of them, I think I can safely say less than 20% of the resettled A2 large-scale commercial farmers have been allocated or have been given 99-year leases by the government. So as it is, the land is still owned by the state. That is the law in Zimbabwe. And you cannot like sell a farm that was allocated to you in terms of the resettlement scheme, because that property, that farm still remains to the state. You have no title deeds. There is a school of thought that says give the new farmers title deeds. But my own view is that it is actually dangerous, it is risky at this stage in our historical development as a country to give all the resettled new farmers title deeds, because there is a danger that some of them might end up just selling, trying to make a profit, because most of them didn't pay a dime for the farms, and the temptation then maybe to dispose of those farms for a profit if they are given title deeds becomes very, very real. So my own personal view is I think the issue of a 99-year lease is actually does, I think to me, does make lots of sense, as long as those 99-year leases are bankable. Because the argument of giving them title deeds is that because they don't have title deeds to their pieces of land, those pieces of land are actually dead capital because they can't use them as collateral to obtain bank loans to finance their agricultural activities. But I still believe that with proper focus, with proper arrangement, and with proper government intervention or the intervention of all stakeholders, the farmers, the banks, and etc., I'm sure we can still make sure that the 99-year leases are bankable and that the farmers, the resale farmers, can actually use those 99-year leases as security. Because the 99-year lease is maybe as good as a title deed, because you're talking of almost a century of occupation of a piece of land. And I think that we maybe have to think about it. The government really has to consult widely, consult the stakeholders, the farmers, the resale farmers themselves, the financial institutions, because the idea of just people having a dead capital doesn't help, because most of them really, that's why maybe they're having these challenges of failure to be productive, because they say we can't access bank loans. For us to access bank loans, we have to use title deeds of maybe the properties that we own in the cities. And that doesn't really augur well for sound and viable agricultural production system. So for today, I would say that is enough, folks. You may follow me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is @Gutu Obert. You may also want to follow me on Facebook. My official Facebook page is Obert Gutu. I kindly request you to click the subscribe button soon after watching this video on YouTube. Thank you, folks. Have a good day and God bless.